are live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure this is turned up. Settings are good. Perfect. All right. Let me adjust this a second. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We are going to be covering more of Mica Miller's story. We've been covering it for the past week now. If you're not familiar with this case, I will play a recap video here in a bit for anybody that's not familiar. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover true crime, mystery to the missing, and we always like to get back by featuring missing people at the beginning of the show. So today we've got a case out of Kansas. I'm just going to play a quick video here. This up.
A Central Kansas mom and her 1-year-old son. I spoke to the Great Bend police chief last night, and he says that his department is doing everything it can to figure out what happened to Crystal Damas and her son Leland, shown right here. So they were reported missing this Sunday, but it is believed that the last time that they were seen was months before, back in mid-January. The police chief addressed his concerns to the city council.
We served 2 search warrants here in Great Bend in relation to a missing female and her child who are believed to possibly be in danger. We're not sure. We're trying to work through that right now. It's kind of a strange deal, but an individual who's identified in the investigation is a previously convicted felon and arrested for a couple things, to include being in possession of a firearm.
So the missing woman, Crystal, also going by Chris, she shares a child with the man arrested. Their child is Leland, by the way. And police say that her vehicle was found at their home, but there's still no sign of her or the toddler. Police sharing a post online saying that they've searched several locations, but they have not tracked the 2 down.
Yeah, such a strange case. This is Crystal Damas, and she has a 1-year-old, and they were reported missing May 5th. But in the notes, it says that she has been missing since January, which is really odd. It mentions a Tyler Epp, who I'm assuming is the baby daddy / boyfriend. He was recently arrested on, I believe, unrelated charges, but it says he has extensive history, kind of a rap sheet. So it's possible he could be involved in this, but if anybody is in the Great Bend or Kansas area, please keep Crystal and Damas, please share their story. If you have any information, you can call 620-792-1300. But really odd. Reported missing on May 5th, but hasn't been spotted since January. And that is regarding herself and her 1-year-old toddler.
A look at Crystal right here. She is 32 years old, 5'3", 180 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. She has pierced ears and tattoos on her hands and arms. Another look at Leland, this little boy. He appears to have brown hair and brown eyes, and he did have a birthday earlier this year. Again, just turning 1 year old. Great Bend police would appreciate any information about the disappearance of Crystal and Leland. Now, you can leave that info with detectives at 620-792-1300. You can also share tips anonymously, and I explain how to do that with their story. It's over at cake.com/missing. And when you go and look at that story, by the way, anyone, we encourage you to take it, share it with your friends online. Let's generate some leads in the case of finding these 2 safe. That's the hope.
So anyway, yep, that is Crystal Damas missing out of Great Bend, Kansas, along with her 1-year-old toddler, Leland. So let me close that out, and let me get today's video ready.
It's Mica Miller, a 30-year-old woman who was energetic, full of life.
So if you're not familiar with the story, I saw a couple of people mention that they've heard of it, but not familiar with Mica Miller's story. As always, I always like to have like a little recap video, a couple of minutes that I play just for anybody that's not familiar. So I'll play that real quick, and then we'll get into the latest news. There's talk about FBI investigations, and the sources that they're coming from. We're going to talk about that as well, because I had seen the FBI thing come up, and the original source that it came out of, I was a little skeptical. But now appears this may have some weight to it. But let's play the recap for anybody that's not familiar.
And a loving sister and daughter. Recently, Mica had been dealing with a pending divorce with this man, former pastor John Paul Miller.
This is the worst sermon I've ever preached my whole life. I can't stand it. I just want to give the altar call and quit now. One day, listen, if you ever want to know what I'm going through in life, it's always about what I'm preaching about. God is so good to do that every single time.
Mica claimed that she had been dealing with many forms of abuse from John Paul, as mentioned in this clip.
Relationship, whether that's sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs, or alcohol abuse, or physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault, or you're a bad mom, or you're a bad wife, or you're a bad husband, or you're not giving it your all when you know you are.
But sadly, on April 27th, just days after serving her husband with documents about a no-contact order, she was found dead in the Lumber River State Park. The cause of death, self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
Talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can, so y'all can stand to your feet. But before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next little bit, because I don't want to have. I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks, I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina. And so it's all I can. I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me.
Many wondered, with John Paul's shady past and her allegations, could this have been staged and something more nefarious? Her family was adamant that she was not a woman who was acting like she was going to take her own life. And recently, Mica stated, "If I end up with a bullet in my head, it was JP," referring to John Paul Miller. So what actually happened on the 27th of April? According to recently released documents, it seems that 11 a.m. Mica is captured on ring cam at her residence leaving her home. She is then captured on surveillance at a nearby pawn shop around noon, purchasing a 6-hour 9mm, along with a box of bullets. After purchasing the gun, Mica would then head to the Lumber River State Park, which is just over an hour drive. Sadly, it's believed she arrived to her final destination sometime before 3 p.m. At 2:54 p.m., Mica would make a 911 call from her cell phone.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Yeah, she hung up the phone. The dispatcher attempted to reconnect with Mica multiple times, but she did not answer her phone. At 3:03 p.m., Robeson County deputies were dispatched to the state park for a well-being check and to locate Mica. After requesting a phone ping and more deputies arriving on location, they started using a drone and other resources in an attempt to locate Mica. But while conducting an aerial search, detectives were approached by a person who said they had found a bag while fishing with Mica's ID inside. This person said they had heard crying.
Okay. All right. Oh, make sure my mic is back on. There we go. Okay. So that's just a little recap of the story there. I do have a longer video if you're interested checking that out after. Okay, what is going on? There we go. All right. So let's get into the news here first with the FBI, and then we'll talk about some other stuff. Let's get this to fit here. There we go. So earlier today, this came out, and the second I saw this source, I was a little hesitant because they had posted something before about this case, and it was something that I didn't see anybody else report on, so it told me that I don't know how much stock you can put into this, and I'll show the site, but it's myrtlebeachsc.com. And anyway, so they put a post out saying FBI investigating J.P. Miller, his attorney, and the Dare to Care African mission. And then it goes on to talk a little bit about the topic here. Let's see. Oops, it went a little too far. So it says sources confirm that Tom Winslow, the Winslow law firm, and J.P. Miller are persons of interest by the FBI over issues surrounding monies, and weird how they spelled that, collected for Miller's African mission, Dare to Care. So in this report, they kind of make it seem like they're looking not into her death, but into this Dare to Care thing. But again, when I seen this, the website and where it came from, I was a little skeptic because they're the same ones that put this post out. And it says Mica Miller died of a gunshot wound at a public state park in North Carolina, just hours drives away from her home. The coroner refuses to rule this as a self-inflicted. And when I saw that, I was like, oh man, I can't wait, to see. I mean, this is going to be huge news. And to see, what other news outlets report on this supposed coroner refusing to rule this as self-inflicted. But that never came to light. So this particular website, I don't know how much stock you can put into. So keep that in mind. But there has been something that has come out since then. We'll look at that here in a second. Let me just grab a chat real quick. Christina, good to see you. Almost 1 whole year. Then the warranty is up. No returns. Or maybe that's my camera, not our friendship. Thank you so much. I can't believe it's almost been a year. That's wild. You get the big 1-2 next to your name. That's awesome. Thank you so much for the support, Christina. Let me get caught up in chat here. So anyway, so this website, again, I don't know how much stock you can put into, but then if we go and we look up, FBI investigation regarding Mica Miller, there is this website, which is ABC News. We can trust them. But now it's posted, and it says by Courtney Rallis, and it says Monday, May 13th, today's date. And so I'm going to read this, but it says feds called in to assist Mica Miller investigation. Robson County. I guess I forgot to renew my McAfee. Are you kidding me? Really? Seriously? All right. Anyway, the Robson County Sheriff's Office announced Monday, so I'm assuming today. But here's the problem. There's one issue, though. I haven't found this statement. If anybody knows a link to it, that would be great. Although, I would think, ABC4 News would be a fairly trusted news outlet. But anyway, it says announced Monday that it had requested assistance from United States Attorney's Office and the FBI in South Carolina in the Mica Miller investigation. In a statement released Monday, the Sheriff's Office said that they have been in contact with both agencies since the early stages of the investigation. The statement reads, the Robson County Sheriff's Office has been in contact with the United States Attorney, and FBI in South Carolina since the early stages of Mica Miller investigation. Based on this information gathered during the investigation and jurisdiction reasons, Sheriff's Office has requested the assistance of both agencies. No other information will be released at this time. Anyone with information pertaining to the Miller investigation at South Carolina is asked to contact the Columbia, South Carolina FBI office at 803-551-4200. So that is pretty interesting. For those that have been following this case, I know many, we got a poll going. I don't think he was directly involved, but there is so much shady stuff that this guy did to this poor girl.
prior to her death. At the very least, I think he pushed her over the edge, because she was making a lot of plans. Interview with the father saying that, he spoke to her the day before that she supposedly took her life, and that they were going to record some music. And to him, it didn't sound like a person that was, planning to take their life. They were planning, future engagements. So, but that is good news. The only thing is, I haven't been able to find where this statement originated. This particular quote here. Although again, being that it's ABC4 News, I would say that's more trusted than the other thing. And this kind of goes against what the Myrtle Beach SC.com was saying, because it's saying they were investigating the Dare to Care, community thing that they were doing. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But we're going to go over some more detailed timeline. Somebody posted a bunch of stuff in chronological order. I've been trying to do that with my show as well. So we'll go over that. And I've got a couple other things that I've put together. But let me get to chat here. Tom Ann, good to see you, buddy. This is so sad. I think she felt completely defeated by life and everything JP was doing to lock all resources. I'm sure she knew of his affairs, and was completely heartbroken as well. Way too sad, way too soon. Rest in peace, Micah. Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate your support. Huge supporter of the channel. Just want to let you guys know that not only do we cover true crime and missing people, but we actually go out and help search for the missing. We are actually planning another trip as early as this coming weekend. And actually, we're going to have a members live tomorrow to kind of decide which case we should go out and search for. So I think that'll be a lot of fun for the members to kind of help decide where we're going to go next. But anyway, yeah, donations, PayPal and stuff like that. If you guys do send them in, that goes towards our future endeavors for searching for the missing. But anyway, that's good news. Considering this source compared to the other one, Fed's getting involved. So let's continue on. But yeah, again, when I had seen this, when I first started looking into this case, and when I saw them post this, coroner refuses to rule it, I'm like, God, this is huge news. If true, there should be a bunch of different outlets reporting on that, but they never did. So, so be wary of that. And then Fitz News also, and this is in regards to this website, not the ABC4 News. But they said, seeing reports the feds are investigating various parties in connection with Mica Miller saga. Now, notice they say, and attorney Tom Winslow, as of writing, there does not appear to be an active FBI investigation into any facet of this story. Now, keep in mind, when I screenshotted this was earlier, this is probably about an hour or two ago, and they were clearly responding to the original report from Myrtle Beach SC.com, where they're talking about the FBI and Tom Winslow and JP Miller. So, and Fitz News, for anybody that doesn't know, they are local out there. They're the ones that covered the Alex Murdaugh trial. Journalists out there, very reliable source, also cover the Stephen Smith story. So they are definitely someone that's a credible source on that. Yeah, Fitznews. Yeah, I think Karen Lee, I think she's local to South Carolina. Correct me if I'm wrong, Karen. But yeah, Fitznews is definitely someone that, or an outlet that, you can trust. So let's get into some of the history.
some of these things I haven't talked about before. And this is somebody by the Reddit name True Salt No Lies. And they kind of put together a chronological order of kind of JP Miller and Mica Miller. And I thought this was really great because I'd kind of put a video together that was kind of like this, but this has got a lot more detail. I think most of what this person has put in this report is pretty spot on. There's a few things that I would say are take with a grain of salt, but let me take a sip and I'll read this because this kind of goes over his history, which is we had seen he had, just a rap sheet of charges. So let's get into them. February 8, 1998, 1999, not sure which year. JP was indicated on charges of assault and battery of a high aggravated nature. The indictment charges Miller with hitting a woman twice with his vehicle at a high speed of rate. I did recall reading in that report. I know that one's got legs to it. April 13, 2003, John Paul Miller is found guilty of assault with a deadly weapon and only causing property damage excess of $300. This guy, I don't know, for some reason doesn't know how to drive a vehicle, but it appears, at least back in the early 2000s, some of these are in regards to a vehicle. February 28th, 2005, Miller is charged with DB and bodily harm. I have to be careful with what I say there. 2007, this is where Mica comes in the picture. Her and her family moved to Myrtle Beach. At this time, she was 14, enters JP's youth group. He then starts, allegedly, we got to be kind of careful with the words, allegedly grooming her, but to me it sounds like that's what it was. 2012, Mica Miller is married to another man, JP, and I've seen the video to this where the guy proposed. It looked like the drummer to the band at the church, but JP officiates the wedding. Because I was a little confused because I'd seen this and I'm like, the guy almost looks like it's JP, but you can tell it's not quite him because then he goes and plays the drums. So anyway, and then Mica and Pastor John Paul Miller have an affair with each other. No surprise there, at least on Miller's behalf. Both spouses of Mica and JPM filed for divorce. So if you're kind of wondering how those two originated, there's a little bit more to that. Because we know that Miller was obviously married to another gal. 2015, same year, Pastor Miller writes a letter to the church asking for forgiveness. According to multiple members of the church at the time, elders told him, "You're not a good Christian if you don't have forgiveness." Then we got 2015, 2016. That's the video we played where he is laying by a truck. He's on the ground. Seems to have mixed his medication with something. And he's acting wild. This is before Mica and John are married. Then 2017, they get married. 2021, Miller's alleged affair with Susie Skinner begins. Both Susie and her husband are members of the church. I've been told by several sources this is when the relationship began. And I believe the Susie, correct me if I'm wrong in chat, but Susie is the one that had the boyfriend or husband that was a quadriplegic and then eventually took his life in a swimming pool. Oh, and as a matter of fact, it talks about this in here. Okay, I thought it didn't mention this. So Susie Skinner's husband is found dead in a pool. Later that same year that they had an affair, bound by a wheelchair, he accidentally falls in and drowns. So another suspicious death where there's an affair with Miller and Susie, and Susie's husband who was a quadriplegic, ends up drowning in a swimming pool. Then we got October 2023. Now we're kind of coming to more recent events. That's when Mica files for divorce. October 22nd, JP uploads a sermon to YouTube where he says he's seeing a psychiatrist for very deep depression. He has been taking lithium and has bad thoughts. October 15th through the 27th, Mica participated in, so that's when she went to Kenya. Then December 24th of 2023, they sells house to Solid Rock Church. Then we have February 2024, Mica Miller application for divorce is dismissed. I'm going to skip this because I think this is the one thing that wasn't really vetted, and this is supposedly a voicemail, but I don't know if this is true or not. Let's see. Then we have February 8th. According to affidavits from Mica's family, John Paul Miller removes Mica's possessions from the home they shared when she was at the mental health facility. This is when she was admitted on February 8th. While in the facility, JP allegedly removed documents. So keep in mind, allegedly removed documents of abuse and fraud that Mica had been collecting. So remember, she had been collecting reports, a digital file, and locked her out. And so then he collected those, allegedly, and then locked her out of her Facebook, iCloud, and other social media. He then makes posts pretending to be her, and we've heard those accusations. February 10th, Mica accuses Miller of stealing her car while admitted in the hospital. Supposedly, it was at a Walmart when she was admitted in. He went and stole her purse and her phone. Her phone had, some of that evidence that she had been collecting. They believe he did this to obviously get rid of evidence, allegedly. Then we have February 12th, Mica withdraws the divorce filing. February 15th, Mica's sister, Sierra, posts, if you see any posts, messages, or texts from my sister, Mica Miller, it is not her. She doesn't have access to her phone, email, Facebook, none of it. You can see from her post who's actually controlling her account, referring to John Miller. February 23rd, he files for spousal support. Then February 23rd, same day, is when he leaves that number for the waitress who's went on News Nation. They have adult conversations through text. He wants to have bikini pics of her. February 25th, another service at his congregation. Pastor John Paul says a mentally ill person doesn't know they're sick. So we heard about that. Go in here. And then something happens with the Dare to Care Mission website. Or someone uploaded. Okay, someone uploaded the new Dare to Care Missions website, February 29th. Then we have March 7th. Mica's sister, Sierra, posts, friendly reminder, my sister Mica does not have access to her phone, email, Facebook, or charity account. She is not making these posts or sharing them. March 10th. This is where he talks about in a sermon that he went through 2 years of messages through his wife's phone. He admits going through Mica's phone. He found that 18 people reached out saying to her, if you ever want to talk about your husband, you can talk to me and I'll keep it confidential. He is visibly upset. The pastor follows up, that's a demon talking. What's wrong with being able to talk to a friend about, your circumstances? But he completely twists that around. It's pretty messed up. Let me just check chat here, make sure we're going. Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, just with his history before the church came along. I mean, the DV, the bodily harm, his yeah, there was a lot before he even became a pastor. Let's see. Okay, talks about just that sermon on March 10th. We've kind of gone over that. March 11th, Mica Miller files a police report that her tire was slashed. The possible suspect name was redacted, but we know who was most likely that. There was also a tracking device found. We know of at least 3. I've seen one report say 4, but at least 3. And since all these reports have came out, JP had sent something to News Nation, literally admitting that he did put these tracking devices on them. We'll look at that here in a minute. He admits to doing that and hiring PIs to follow her. March 11th, JP withdrew the separation filing. March 12th, request for spousal support was dismissed. March 14th, officers visit Mica's apartment regarding report of a tracker found. I don't know if this is a new one, but there's at least 3 reports. Yeah, I think at least 3 reports of trackers. March 17th, pastor tells a story of a pastor whose wife left him for a member of his staff. The pastor had to hire a third-party company to find her. Once he found her, divorce papers were drawn up. When the time came to sign the papers, the pastor couldn't do it because the Bible says divorce is wrong, and if she wanted out, she would have to leave him. March 17th, in a Facebook post by Mica's sister, Sarah Francis, she keeps an eye on her phone for fear of my sister's safety due to others' behaviors towards her. She goes on to mention that the sermon on March 17th and calls out the congregation of Solid Rock Church. March 18th, this is when she posted that video. We played that. Let's go down. March 19th, Mica posts her first public Facebook post. So this is a new account. Supposedly, Mica posts a video discussing the challenges she has faced over the past weeks, months, and years, mentioning the importance of keeping her circle small and thanking those who have supported her. March 22nd, Mica posts another video suggesting she's been abused physically and mentally. March 23rd, in a Facebook chat, Mica tells a friend she is no longer. Oops. There's that. Mica tells a friend she is no longer goes to the Solid Rock and says she's getting divorced and it's for the best. And she would soon go to a new church and get rebaptized. March 26th, Mica called police and said she found another tracking device on her own vehicle. March 27th, Pastor Miller files a police report saying he's being harassed on social media by his wife, but the police find no wrongdoing because she doesn't mention his name or anybody, and they basically say boo-hoo. March 31st, Mica is baptized by the Valorous Church in Little River, South Carolina. April 9th, Mica uploads a Facebook photo with the caption, "When terrible, terrible things happen to you." After JP uploaded a nude photo of Mica to Facebook, then deleted it. And we do have him talking about that as well. April 13th, Mica's sister says on a Facebook, "Don't listen to the false stories being told about her," meaning Mica.
April 16th, Mica files for spousal support. A hearing is almost at the end here. April 23rd, a hearing notice was sent out for Mica's request. A court date for June 5th was set. April 25th, JP was served with divorce papers 2 days before her untimely death. April 27th, she allegedly takes her own life. And then it just goes over the timeline. So that's a little backstory on some of the stuff. Some of it, we've covered or shown the videos, but that kind of gives a little bit more background to just his shocking behavior. Lynn said, did the bullet in her head come from the one she bought at the pawn shop? So, let's just look at this story here. So this will kind of answer. Oh, yeah. We'll come back to that. I made a video about that if you missed it. God, that's just terrible. So here is from the family. Actually, I have two different ones. This is coming from one of them. I did, but JP told. So this is before they could see the body. JP told the owner of Burrow that if her father and myself didn't sign the paper, he would refuse to let anyone see her for the very last time. I dug my heels in, crying and screaming as I signed that damn paper. So he needed Miller needed two people to sign the paper, or he would not let anyone in, and this was to have her cremated. They said no official, according to the family, they said no official autopsy was done. And that means certainly probably no toxicology. I don't know why you would be in such a hurry if you had nothing to hide to cremate a body. And why wouldn't you let the family decide what's best to do with their daughter, sister, so really shady. So they didn't really get to conduct an official, they said there was like a medical report, but not like an autopsy done on her body. This garbage just wanted to come in, cremate her body, and so we don't know what the casings or bullets what matched up. One thing I will say is I think a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but some people had seen the report. There's a picture where it shows them matching the gun up to the gun case, and I've seen some people say, well, if the gun was in the car, she couldn't have shot herself, and I think that's being misquoted because allegedly, she goes out there, and we can go through the timeline, but she goes out there, takes her life, shoots herself. They find the gun, but the gun case is still in the car. And so I think some people misinterpret the gun case when they mention the gun case being in the car, that was the gun in there as well. But that's not the case. The Astro from space. Yeah, no gunshot residue. Yeah, that's one thing we talked about when we first kind of talked about her, when it was first came out about her self-inflicted gunshot wound, that, there should be, if she used her right hand, there should be gunshot residue on her right hand. If she used her left hand, there should be gunshot residue on her left hand. And let me take a sip. So, for anybody that missed my video earlier, this guy is a piece of work. So he goes to say, so the family did not learn, apparently, of their daughter's sister's death until April 28th. So according to him, he got a call late Saturday night, about her death, the 27th, and he texts the family, it looks like a group text, at 6:30 a.m., and he starts it off with, I thought you two should know. Mica killed herself earlier today, which that's weird because it's April 28th at 6:30. And she took her life on the 27th at like around 3 p.m. So I don't know, it's weird how you phrase that. She needed her lithium because she had been having a 3-month psychotic episode. I'll keep you posted on the funeral. The nerve this guy has to let the family members, a daughter, the sisters, know about their loved one's death. And he starts it off with, I thought you two should know. I cannot believe that shit. No phone call, no like, I am so sorry, brace yourself, just so ignorant. And then it goes on to double down. And I apologize, it's going to be a little hard to read, so I'll read it. It seems like they probably had some back and forth, because I'm sure just even the way he phrased that was, they're freaking out. He goes on to say, this is what happens when you try to encourage someone to divorce the person they love and tell them they don't need medicine and that they're not ill when they are. And then he has the nerve to say, good job, Francis family. I mean, what a piece of dirt. And it looks like there's more people now in the group. I think there's like 8. Clearly the father, the sisters are probably in here. And they're having a group chat. But to say that. And so Sierra replies, F out of here. You're the reason our sister is dead. And then somebody else chimes in. This could be the father. I don't know. It's easy to shift blame when that's all you know how to do. No one told her to take her meds. Get that through your thick skull. You drove her crazy. Simple as that. And the surgery that you wanted set her off on this path. And it does seem like, from what the family claims, whatever this surgery is, could have been part of the catalyst to whatever happened to her. Disgusting. Yeah, I know, how could he have so many followers at church? Apparently, I guess if you're a good piano player, and then, apparently he did a couple of services, and I guess he sucked them in, sadly, and he took advantage. So, I'm trying to think, what else? Let's play this one thing, and then we'll back up to a couple things. But I haven't played this on my channel, but
Knew how beautiful she was.
this has been posted.
No,
This is what he had on Sunday. Sunday? So this was the funeral service. So he had his own funeral service at the church, and then of course the family had their own. I think like at a beach or something like that. And I think it's like a 20 to 30 minute service they had. But I'm just going to play this 4-minute clip that it's just so bizarre what he says here, if you haven't heard it. This way I can play this and check something.
everyone knew how beautiful she was on the outside, but only I think a spouse knows how beautiful that person is on the inside. So I want to take a few minutes to just kind of tell some stories and just share some things about Mica that may, I don't know, shock you or help you get to know the more intimate side of her. She was beautiful on the outside. She had won so many beauty pageants, all when she was young, and I have one of her trophies here where she won Saucus the Idol. Let me tell you, just to talk about how pretty she was on the outside. And when she went to one school, she won the Miss whatever the school was beauty pageant, and then her family moved and she went to another school and she won the Miss Beauty pageant for that school too. So it was the first time in that county's history that someone won, both the pageants. But it really hadn't hit me. I've gotten to spend as Christians, of course, we know she's not here and in heaven, and she's worshiping and enjoying, and probably hadn't even had time to look down here yet. But I got this lay next to her body and spent time with her body about 4 times this week, and each time it still didn't hit me. I thought she was going to wake up. I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week, and that morning, actually, I went to the mall later. She had bought me this dog tag, and the chain broke, so I went to the mall to get it fixed. And I saw a female about 20, 30 feet in front of me, and she was wearing one of Mica's dresses. And she had the same tattoo Mica has on her arm and the exact same hair. And out of just instinct, I screamed, "Mica!" And the girl turned around, and it was one of her sisters. And I thought I raised her from the dead. She's alive,
What a nut. I hope she punched him if that story is actually true. Raised her from the dead, but laying down to her next to her body, it's so cringe and creepy. Let's see. Why do people say unaliving? Well, on YouTube they don't like the S word, if you know what I'm talking about. Regarding to unaliving, they don't like it. They just. So a lot of people chat, and you can't. I think it flags you, as a matter of fact, when you use that, because it's just such a triggering word. And they may think that you may be talking about that yourself, So it's just word. It's like the biggest word you just don't want to use around YouTube. So much for free speech, but so that's why unaliving. That's really where that's kind of stemmed from. You used to couldn't even say murder at one point, but now they've kind of got a little bit lenient. But yeah, when you're referring to this particular kind of case, you have to be very careful with your vernacular. Fortunately. Sensei Wackadoodle, member for 17 months, huge supporter. Thank you, Chris, for all you do. We all love you. Thank you so much, Sensei. Let's see. Looking at a 14-year-old as his best friend, right? How many, let's see, what do you have? 14, 15 years on her? Right. As a best friend. Yeah. Yeah, I think there was like a somewhere around like a 15-year difference, 14, 15. Totally agree. Oh, the timeline, Karen? Yeah, that was on the Justice for Mica Reddit post. I'll punch that in. The Reddit and then Justice for Mica. I think it's this one here. Nope, that's not it. That's not the actual. This is it. Anyway, it is. We'll have to look at this one. It's one of these in here. It's one of the hot ones. But yeah, you'll find it in here. Is this the same one? I think so. Let's look this up and let's see if there's any more details. Again, if you missed it earlier, when I had first heard about the FBI investigation, the original source that released it was not a credible source, so I was a little skeptical. But with ABC News posting this, I would say this is a more credible source. But if true, that's amazing, because I'm sure if there is something that they can get on this guy, whether directly involved or indirectly, that would be awesome. I don't know if he owns the church. I'm not sure. I'm sure maybe there's some locals that may could answer as far as that question. Yes, that's what I wanted to talk about, the lithium, because a lot of people ask lithium. Yeah, medication for bipolar has a benefit of reducing those kind of thoughts. Unfortunately, her medication was discounted. Yeah, so if anybody's wondering, because he mentioned that, well, they shouldn't have her lithium. Anyway, we did yesterday, was it yesterday? Oh, so and here's where I talked about it. I showed this yesterday, but here's him admitting that he hired a PI to put trackers on her car to know where she was going, because he was worried she might go to a gun store. I have never once in my entire life hurt her in any way, but he even mentions, where is it? That he did want to hurt her. Oh, I don't know if I think I have it. Snag this up here. Oh, let's see. Where is it? And she also wrote, 9 days before she died. Since the day we became husband and wife, I've been abused in every way I can think of. Emotionally, spiritually, all the ways. He had harassed me physically, electronically, with letters, phone calls, emails, hacking my personal Facebook, impersonating me, using my stolen phone to send texts, emails out to church members, pretending to be me, to having installed 3 different tracking devices on my vehicle. And where is it this one? Oh yeah, right here. Where he says, I'm sorry for putting your picture on the internet. So we talked about that. When was that? April, I think. April of this year is when he sent a nude photo on her. Put it on her Facebook. In his response, he says, it was up for less than an hour, immediately taken down. I was hurt that you were telling everybody horrible, intimate details of my past sin. I just wanted to try and hurt you. Please forgive me. It was evil of me to do that. Well, I'm a pastor, so I can be forgiven. As I think is how he looks at it. But so he admits that he's tried to want to hurt her and has. So yeah, I don't know. Because yeah, it was mentioned that he's allegedly could have been taking lithium, but I don't know. I know. Again, some of this you have to kind of take with a grain of salt, but I think maybe for her, if she did have those that diagnosis, then I would think it's a safe bet that maybe she was taking something like that. Yeah, he justifies everything that's normality. Yeah, that's not normality, excuse me. Right. He says he's such a fake. Right. So I was hoping to see if there was any more details about this federal investigation. I don't see anything other than just this report by ABC News. Again, I talked about the other one that came out earlier. They're not a credible source, so be careful with that. I'm a little curious why we haven't seen anybody else report on it. And I could not find this report or this, quote, like where it came from. Not saying it didn't happen, but before I went live, I could not find where this quote had originated from, that they're sourcing this. So, we'll just kind of have to see, but hopefully, if true, that'll be great. And this guy gets gets what's coming to him. Anyway, let's see. We've been gone for about an hour, so I think we'll pretty much finish there. I just want to thank everybody that is in here. Let's see what the poll is. We've got We got more that feel like he's directly involved. 57% feel he was directly involved, 34% indirectly. I have gone over a few things in my previous live. I don't want to kind of recap everything that I did yesterday, but if you want to check it out, I did do some AI enhancement on her whereabouts before she went to the park. The most stuff, everything looked normal, except I couldn't find her tattoo on her right hand. I thought that was kind of a little odd, although it's possible. It's just the photo or the video is just far too far away that it just doesn't show up. But again, I don't see it on there. I thought that was weird, unless she had it removed. But I don't know why she remove it, because I think she got that tattoo first, and then JP had gotten it second, because there was going to be like a matching tattoo thing. But again, everything else kind of looked like, some people say they don't think this is her. I mean, she's wearing the watch, she's wearing the necklace. To me, I think it's her. I lean more towards he wasn't directly involved, but indirectly. But again, if there's a FBI investigation, hopefully maybe we'll get more answers. Is Fitz News? You know what? Let's look at that. I can't really look at Fitz News because you have to have a subscription. I hate that because I like Fitz News, but that's May 11th. Yeah, so I don't know. Could it be her left hand? Oh, on the video. This is her pinky right here. So this is her right hand. So, this hand is her right hand. I've seen other videos, of course, with this tattoo. So this is her right hand. We can tell just by the pinkies, just by the fingers, of course. So that is her right hand there. And so here is her right hand here. And she usually keeps her watch on her left hand. But yeah, it's weird. I don't see it there. And then not to mention that the bruises that the father said he saw when he went in there to see his daughter for the final time before she was cremated. So, I used up all my freeze meat. Yeah, I hate when news channels do that. I know a lot of them, that's how they make money. I kind of understand to be able to do journalism. It's not the same as before. But yeah. Yeah, I couldn't see it. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe she got it removed. I would think we would be able to see something. I talked about this in my previous live. When you do AI enhancement, it usually kind of smooths things out. So let's say if you have like a little blotch on your hand, it'll do one or two things. It'll either expand it a little bit more, or it'll cover it up with the pixels around it. Because it's really just smoothing out pixels, in a way. I mean, it does more than that, especially if you got like the actual photo with metadata in it, because it can actually pull the metadata from it. But yeah, I don't see it. So I don't know. That's weird. Like I said. But then the other thing what I was really looking for was bruises, because I don't see any bruises on her hand. Yet the father says that there was bruises on, he doesn't mention which hand, but there's bruises on one of her hands, and then that she had injuries and a handprint on one of her arms. Now, of course, we can't look at that because her arms are, of course, covered. But again, weird that they covered that he wanted this her body cremated so fast. That's what they were. Yeah, as a matter of fact, she had bought a gun before. I'm not sure what year. There was a interview with one of the neighbors, and the neighbor said that because there was like an incident, and he was kind of like involved in it. The neighbor was just trying to help as a third party, but said that she had bought a gun, and that she neighbor said he was wondering if she was gonna use it on JP. So yeah, so I wonder what happened to that gun as well. She may have originally bought the gun as protection for him, then her thoughts turned to this as the only option. Yeah, who knows? But thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate the $5 and the support. But I think from there, I think we're gonna finish up, and I was hoping maybe there'd be some more stuff about the FBI investigation, but I'm not seeing anything else. But of course, if there is, I'll do a video on it. But so for what's coming up, I'm trying to get a hold of the family of James Yablonsky, a kid that went missing out of Wisconsin in June of last year. So we may, I don't know if it'll be an interview or just covering his story at some point later this week or next week. And then, of course, tomorrow, we're going to have a members live where we're going to decide where we're going to go search for the missing coming up this weekend. So, he is awful. A nightmare. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, a shady fellow. Zandra says, "Thank you, Chris, for everything you do. You are great. Good night, everybody." Thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you so much to everybody taking the time to watch the show. Again, we'll be back here Wednesday for everybody else. Members will be live tomorrow, discussing who we're gonna go out searching for. Again, one last time, any donations, PayPal or Venmo comes in, we do use that for our upcoming searches. So, with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you guys very soon.